Alright, I pressed the record button now. We're looking at an indeterminate amount of time that has passed here in our little vignette with Aaron, one of the players of the Vampire the Masquerade game, where we resolve perhaps a few threads dangling with Jermaine. Suppose the first thing that I'd actually bring up to you, Aaron, is a bit of surprise. For the purposes of this, I didn't mention it to you before, but it's Christmas now, I guess. We can go ahead and say that Jermaine earned 3 experience points as well at the end of the last session. Would there be anything that you wanted to spend those experience points on now?
Well, that only brings me up to 16, and unlike a vampire, a ghoul needs 20 for the first dot in something, so no.
Right. Not that exactly, vicissitude would be the best thing, especially if he's going to become, a vampire. It'd actually be cheaper for him the long haul. If he wanted to keep banking experience, it's fine. I just wanted to see whether he wanted to spend anything.
Nope.
Alright. Well, in that case, Jermaine has 3 vampires that he needed to go pick up for the purposes of Sevalod's request. You have the Nosferatu, the Toreador, and the Ventru. How is Jermaine going to even begin to attempt to do that?
Well, first of all, he's going to be using this strategy of stalking over a long period of time to try and figure out where possible targets might be weak, might be vulnerable. But he's mostly going to try to build up his possible retinue of targets while working odd jobs for people.
Okay, something for perhaps him to do on the side instead of fully devoting himself to finding these 3 vampires, whoever they might end up being.
Yeah, at this point, it seems more like fully devoting himself to doing that would be more putting himself in a dangerous situation than it would be, smartly approaching the situation. Plus, he can, scope people out while he's working for people.
Right. Now I could see him being able to do that all fine and well for the Toreador and Ventro, but I assume that Germain might know a little bit about the Nosferatu, but he doesn't have as much experience or knowledge as any true vampire would. Still, he would encounter the wall situation where they have obfuscate. How the hell do I get around that?
Which is why he's also going to be looking for a Tremere.
Oh, I see. So, say he manages to find one of these creatures. Is it just going to be the same drawn-out process of maybe I can hopefully find a haven that's isolated that I can strike at during the day, and perhaps somehow get lucky enough to knock them unconscious?
That's the ideal situation, yes.
Of course, nothing ever ends up working out that idea, particularly with the Tremere and their thaumaturgical rituals that end up protecting them somehow over the course of the day.
Right, and uh, for all of these ones, he's going to start before attempting staking or anything like that by, handcuffing them, getting them nice and prepared because, they're a corpse during the day. What are they going to do?
Right, and for the most part, vampires do have difficulty responding during the day unless you run into, say, a light sleeper, which is what Marcus is, and some of the vampires might end up being that way. It certainly would have been an interesting situation, like, he has his full dice!
Yeah.
Uh,
So yeah, he's going to be as careful as possible. He doesn't want there to be any real room for fuck ups.
Now, Jermaine does have 2/3 of that flask left that Sevalod gave to him. Is Jermaine going to be imbibing any of that before he goes and hopes to capture any of these?
See, I'm tempted, but at the same time, that'll put me at the second stage of Blood Bond with Sevalad.
Right.
So no.
And Jermaine's going to be put another stage further anyway during the process of the embrace.
And he does not want to go the full 3 steps. So no.
Okay, okay.
That's as good as death to him.
Well, I mean, if Sevalod really wanted to, he could just easily force Jermaine to drink the blood, right?
Oh sure, but I mean on like a personal level, that's as good as death to him.
Right. He doesn't want to admit that he voluntarily did it.
Yeah.
It's perfectly fair. It's perfectly reasonable. Well, go ahead and set Jermaine's willpower value here. Let me go ahead and put you on the map. We'll already be here at beneath Central Park. How about that? Go ahead and set his willpower value to the full 9 that he has. As for Jermaine's endeavors, they haven't exactly been easy. And Jermaine's not entirely sure how much time has passed on account of, well, his whole dream of being able to reach this goal of being embraced, of becoming far more powerful than what he was, has been to sort of entrench itself within his psyche, and every now and then he'll have those flashback moments that might not always debilitate him, but he'll think about the names of the train and its engineer and conductor and all the people who drive past Grimith's house during the daytime.
Good times.
I don't know why Jermaine would think about that.
It's always on his mind. You know how it is.
That's right. He's not my character, so I absolve myself of any responsibility. But ultimately, Jermaine does manage to somehow single out vampires who, they aren't in a coterie. They're sort of on their lonesome. Maybe they've been abandoned by their sires. Maybe they're new to New York City. Maybe they have no idea what the hell vampiric powers are. Maybe they're caitiff. Maybe they're of super high generation. None of them really appeared to be powerful. And none of them appeared to have ghoul servitors to protect them during the daytime. Which, being a ghoul yourself, you would kind of see as a big deal.
Yup.
Consequently, Jermaine does manage to pick out both a Toreador, a Ventru, and then a Tremere. The Tremere, as it turns out, ends up being the hardest one. Jermaine got into a kerfluffle, if it were a scuffle of sorts. Certainly, Sevalod did warn him of the thaumaturgical powers and how they would be more than a match for any Zlacha, which is what Jermaine is. But Jermaine, with his immense strength and the advantage of surprise and perhaps
Careful
luck,
planning.
careful planning, military training, a bit of luck on his side, the fact that he is currently the ghoul of a 6th generation vampire, all that sort of rolls in together, and who knows? Regardless, Germain does manage to, over the passage of time, to bring in first the Toreador, then the Ventru, and finally the Tremere, in each process hauling them down beneath Central Park. That's where this is going to pick up right now with both, Dmitri Pavel, the deformed ghoul, as well as Sevalot, who has his more human appearance again. The writhing tentacles that were on his right side have been removed, and his right arm got moved back over there, and he's currently in his robe made out of supple human leather.
Not sure which's worse.
And as before, he's maintaining that curious hovering thing that he does, where it seems as if perhaps the tips of his rubbery toes can kiss the floor, but almost as if his body is weightless or he's suspending it somehow. Pavel and Dmitri, for their parts, do not float.
Well, at least there's that.
That's right, could have been worse.
They all could have been floating.
Right. While it's raining.
I wonder how often it rains down here.
I don't know. That's never been a question you've had to ask Sybil. At the bringing of the third vampire, Civilod's face sort of it brightens up considerably, particularly as he gives the vampire a long look. And it's kind of easy to notice that the fucking thing isn't a Nosferatu. And since he gave you explicit instructions, that could mean it could only be one thing. He's alright with that. Who knew?
I did. That's what he asked for.
Well, what do you know? Dimitri actually steps up along with Pavel. They shoulder the weight of the Tremere from you, and they begin to carry it down the hallway.
I would
And
have brought it in some kind of bag, by the way.
yeah, that's perfectly reasonable, but they'll go ahead and take care of the whole moving process. It's not that Dimitri or Pavel probably need any help individually. It's probably for some sort of symbolic purpose that they go carry the damn thing. And Sevalod floats a bit closer to Jermaine and quirks his head and says, "You've done well. Truly, I did not expect such accomplishments in such a short period of time from a Zlatcha. But, as it turns out, your motivation to become a child of Cain drove you quite well."
I just, I remain quiet at that.
So Sevalon nods and says, "Well, there ain't much more to do about it, I suppose. You should go ahead and see this. Come on, Jermaine. This way." And with that, Sevalon begins his curious gait, the tips of his feet seemingly dancing an inch above the marble floor. He leads Jermaine out of the ornate foyer, beyond the multifaceted gem chandelier, and down a finely decorated hallway. There are carvings along the wall, depictions of anatomy in all of their minutiae. They also end up telling a story, written in a language Jermaine cannot read, but the gruesome, vivid imagery shares a story all its own. To accompany the pretty pictures is a din of noise, of screams and sobs that only grows louder with every footstep. That's the music that's playing while you're traveling, by the way.
So he's got hallway music and not elevator music?
Oh yeah, and of course it sounds suspiciously like, that one game. No, not you. Get out of here, Leslie Cutter. What the hell are you doing?
And I was almost expecting a big reveal.
Well, it wasn't her time to be revealed yet. She was cheating. It was before her time. There we go. Rounding a corner, the lights get dimmer, and the walls flare outward in a domed shape, the murals continuing. The marble floor, formerly pristine, has been marred by illustrations in what appears to be some sort of ritual room. Of particular interest are 13 marble pillars placed in a circle formation within the interior of the dome. Attached to these pillars are the 12 humans that Jermaine brought here. They are each nude, covered in scars, eyes full of tears, and throats brimming with terror. Attached to the 13th pillar, which actually ends up being right here, and I'll go ahead and move you a bit closer so you can see around the pillars. Right there to your right is a human Jermaine doesn't recognize, perhaps one that Dimitri brought in place of the sheriff. Speaking of Dimitri, he's carrying the final body Jermaine brought past the pillars and into the circle where there are 3 vivisection tables off to the side. You have one there, and Dimitri ends up depositing this body right there. 2 of which have the already acquired vampires. The powerful ghoul lifts the 3rd body onto the empty platform after removing it from the bag and begins applying restraints. Pavel, for his part, gets the fuck out of there and steps by the entryway. Leslie Cutter is also here, and she's never looked better? There's a glow to her pale countenance that can't fully be expressed, as she tends to one of the humans, applying salve as well as dressing to the wounds. Jermaine will notice that there is an an assortment of what can politely be called devices around the room. And these nude humans, they looked better before they were brought down here. The short petite vampires, also not nude, choosing to wear, upon further inspection, an underbust corset made out of supple human flesh, just like Sevalod's robe. The rest of the details get lost.
Gross.
The imprisoned guests, to their credit, all stop screaming and sobbing upon sight of Sevalod. As it turns out, he's an exceptionally intimidating figure who exudes a powerful enough aura to render them speechless. Leslie,
I
for
never would
her...
have.
Yeah.
I never would have fucking guessed.
Who knew? Leslie, for her part, doesn't appear to be paying attention at all, and Dimitri quickly hurries from the circle. Once he's finished with his task, he's like, fuck this, I'm out. Leaving Sevalod to hover inside of it, along with Jermaine. Assuming that's what Jermaine wishes to do anyway. Aaron, how's he holding up?
You know, not great. Maintaining a bit of composure, but this is a pretty fucked up scene.
The fiend closes his eyes, rubbery eyelids snapping shut over the depthless orbs, as he stands within the center of the pillar circle. His muscles stiffen as he inhales deeply, expressing clear and perhaps frightening pleasure. His hands fall to his sides, and the rubbery lips part, revealing an elongated tongue which laps a few times in the chilly air. You have done well, Jermaine. Sevalod begins, the soft voice, a stark contrast to his plethora of accents, as it blends in the voices of every captive that Jermaine has brought here. You have exhibited undeniable aptitude in the quick completion of your tasks. The effort has been beyond satisfactory. Now, all you have left to prove is your determination. The eyelids glide open, and Sevalod's head slowly rotates towards Jermaine. At that moment, from each obelisk, tendrils of shadow begin quivering along the ground, rapidly writhing as they speed towards the alien. They intertwine around him, throbbing in some obscene mockery of life as they shelter his body within some mystical cloak of darkness. Jermaine, you may either roll courage at difficulty 8 or spend a point of willpower to overcome your fear of these monster shadows.
I'll spend a point of willpower.
Okay, that takes you down to 8 current willpower. Jermaine sort of remembers seeing sort of shadowing things before. He'll, of course, recall the cloying cloud of darkness that threatened to smother him outside of Joseph's
Yeah, that was
church.
goddamn terrifying.
Particularly whenever he botched that.
Oh yeah, that's going to stick with him for the rest of his life. Or death.
Yeah, hopefully that's not too long, right? The life part. At that point, Sevalod's wide mouth peels open, seeing Jermaine withstand seeing the shadows. For their parts, the humans around, they don't handle it so well. But they were already frozen silent anyway, so it's not as if anything has really changed. Sevalod's wide mouth peels open, giving Jermaine the rictus of a smile. At that moment, the air around the alien wavers a little, and Jermaine finds himself smitten with Sevalod. He wants to be near the Tzimisce, and he wants to listen to everything the Tzimisce has to say. Jermaine, this is a presence power. You may resist it for a scene by spending a willpower point and succeeding on a willpower roll. Difficulty 8. While Iron Will does not affect presence or other powers dealing with emotions, I will make an exception for this interaction. If you spend 2 points of willpower instead of 1, you will not have to make a willpower roll. What do you want to do? The willpower roll, by the way, would be based on your permanent willpower.
I'll spend the point of willpower and then roll it.
Okay. Difficulty 8.
Yeah, I failed.
Yep. Well, son of a bitch. And, it turns out, Jermaine is affected by the presence power of awe. Given how I understand how the presence power works, you are allowed to continue to try to resist it, but you'd have to spend another willpower point and succeed on a willpower roll at difficulty 8. As, rather than just trying to deride your logical and factual, like, iron will there, he's sort of exuding this, sort of emotion, tinkering, aura, the power of all there. And certainly for their part, the humans are that are chained to the obelisks are no longer so fearful now, as they're filled with this sort of swooning.
Can I just spend the 2 more willpower now then to break out of it?
Certainly could, or you can just spend another point of willpower and roll again at difficulty 8.
I'll spend the 2 points of willpower.
Okay. The alien curls his lips into a sneer, sort of watching you fight with your own emotions. It amuses him, particularly since there was that initial failing there. And the air around him pulses again before a miniature shockwave is loosed with a snarl. Gone are the servile, submissive feelings. Now Jermaine is filled with stark terror, and his legs begin trembling as if to immediately run from the room. The awe presence has been cancelled, and its place is dread gaze, with multiple successes. This is another presence power, and you have the same options to resist it. 1 willpower point and roll willpower difficulty 8, or 2 willpower points and completely override it.
I'll spend 2 willpower again.
Okay. In that case, Jermaine completely shunts away the feelings of terror and the desire to run away. And shortly thereafter, the fiend corks his head, canceling the effects of dread gaze, studiously observing Jermaine while the shadows writhe around him. There is a respite, but one that ends all too soon, as Sevalod beckons to Jermaine with a hand. At that moment, the mind-racing horror is replaced with a feeling of acquiescence, of a desire to submit to the whims of the Elder, of sheer devotion to Sevalod's every desire. Yet another presence power. What does Jermaine want to do?
I'm going to spend 2 more points of willpower.
Okay. Alright. During this brief play of events, the human spectators have definitely kept their quiet, unable to process the eldritch power before them. Leslie's stopped her ministrations, and over the course of time, she sort of crept back here to stand next to Dimitri, where they are watching and peering around the obelisks, keeping a close eye on what's transpiring within the circle. But the two of them soon fall to their knees, and the tortured humans bow their heads in submission, as a supernatural emanation of power emits from the fiend, stemming from his lips. You are incompetent and worthless, Slacha, unfit to be my child. Jermaine, you are witnessing the power of majesty. To merely disagree with Sevalad, you must succeed on a courage roll at difficulty 10, or spend a point of willpower. What would you like to do?
If I fail the courage roll, will I be able to then spend willpower?
If you fail the courage roll, you would be able to spend willpower afterwards, but you would definitely spend at least a turn in complete servility before the power of majesty. You would sort of nod your head in agreement with what he said, which was basically that you were unworthy of being his child.
Then I'm going to spend a point of willpower and articulate very slowly, no, I'm not.
Okay. I believe that bankrupts you on willpower now.
It does.
The overwhelming aura of majesty lasts for a few seconds, but after witnessing Germaine's reaction, the fiend dismisses the effect. However, the shadows remain stretched along his rail-thin form, dancing to an unknown beat. Germaine can almost see ripples of features along the tentacles. Human faces? The humans gathered around do manage to come back to their senses, but it's not like they're entirely home right now anyway, so it's not a big deal. The Leslie Cutter, as well as the two ghouls, they do manage to get back to their feet as well after beholding the supernatural power of Sevalod. And it's from that moment where things sort of become into a blur. Now that Jermaine is lacking any current willpower, his mind becomes lethargic, particularly whenever Sevalod has this curious quirk on his face. The smile ends up fading, and it's a rather brutish demand as he declares that Jermaine kneels. And rather forcibly, Jermaine loses control of his body, and he is directed to plant his knee on the ground, where Sevalod sort of chuckles and nods, sort of almost as if he expected such a thing. He ends up saying, "Ah, Jermaine, I Truth be told, if you had resisted any more, I would have begun to question whether you would have been too dangerous a child to have. Yet it is necessary that you must be shown your place, not so much by me ridiculing you as me demonstrating to you that there is a wealth of power in the vitae of Cain, and that what you have done during your life is actually remarkable, and why you end up being deserving of the gift I will bestow upon you." Jermaine, for his part, is still forced to the ground in that kneeling posture. The command ended up being so forceful, particularly with Jermaine's current willpower of 0, that he couldn't do a damn thing to resist that. As it turns
Of
out,
course.
yep, Iron Will doesn't exactly help when you got nothing left in the tank.
Oh yeah, that was my last gambit.
There's a chuckle there, and suddenly the room ends up going dark, as through one way or another, a sort of command, perhaps, Jermaine forces, or rather, Sevalod forces Jermaine into unconsciousness. The Jermaine's not quite sure how long he's out. The the darkness is sort of dreamless and its condition, and yeah, it's sort of a interesting feeling. It's perhaps some sort of mixture of dread coming from Jermaine's human side, as it's sort of beginning to really feel like, well, this is it. Um, shit. What happens now?
I
But
mean, I made my bed.
yeah, Jermaine certainly did make his bed, and eventually, let me go ahead and see about organizing these things. Yes, here we go here. Do 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 do. Eventually, Jermaine finds himself coming to, and a very small room that initially feels as if he's falling in blackness. But no, the room itself is actually painted black, which is a rather curious effect, let me assure you. Suspended from one simple light bulb, there is a amount of dim light that's being cast through the room in that regard. Jermaine is chained up to the wall with what appears to be some sort of silver bonds, which is interesting in that silver, in not of itself, is a very strong metal. But should Jermaine manage to test them, they appear to be more than meets the eye in that regard, and sort of give off a shine all of their own in spite of the dim light. Dimitri and Leslie are standing off to either side of Jermaine. Pavel the Zlatcha, who apparently is quite trusted, is by one part of the black wall. Perhaps he's overseeing a door or portal of some kind. And Sevalod... Ugh. Well, maybe Jermaine's head is woozy, because Sevalod... Well, there's no really interpreting him anyway. But he does sort of appear to be hovering, and he does close the distance with Jermaine. And he does say, in that same soft voice, "I have done a great service for you, my child." And one of the arms lift and sort of cuts the other arm, easily piercing through the rubbery skin. But rather than the acidic blood that came through earlier, instead is actually rich red vitae. "I have suspended the powers that the blood of Cain have bestowed upon me, so that you would not have to drink from a simple flask." And then, both of Sevalod's arms have this curious bubbly look, as the skin and the muscle and the sinew and the bone all begin to break down before Jermaine's eyes. And instead, it's almost as if two small waterfalls of blood, of vitae, are falling to the ground. And as it turns out, Sevalod's legs appear to be doing the same. All of this blood just sort of slowly forming out of his skin, as if all his limbs are turning into it as he approaches Jermaine. And his body, the torso, begins to do the same as well. And the start of it begins to creep up Jermaine's restrained legs. The head sort of peers seemingly up at Jermaine now as the body has begun to fall. "Don't worry. I won't hold it against you if you scream."
He's probably going to scream.
I think there you go. I think that takes care of the role play that needed to be conducted there. Certainly, Jermaine will be getting as he wished. He will find himself going through all of the changes that a mortal finds himself thrust into whenever he is embraced by a vampire. So, however you feel like describing or detailing that in your own head or to anyone else, how those changes would come across, I certainly wouldn't do that for you, as according to White Wolf, everyone's embrace is unique.
I'd call that pretty unique.
There was certainly more that Sevillod was willing to do there. I had made some dice rolls for the various use of some of his powers had Jermaine remained on his feet. And there certainly was a possibility that he could have carried through everything, because the test would have ended. But Sevillod certainly is not surprised that Jermaine sort of fell short there before the presence powers.
I mean, really, there's only so much that you can do before 6th gen.
Right. And he was staying away from, some of the other stuff too, but he certainly could have tried to fling out some domination effects, and it might have been interesting to see that crash against the wave of Iron Will, but it's fair to say that with his intensive aspect, with the karmic sight ability, he can see more than your aura. He can sort of dip into your nature and demeanor and see your virtue, where they at, as well as your willpower and stuff. So, he can sort of reason things out what would be the best idea for a potential test? He even rolled a botch at one point, which is kind of unfortunate whenever you have all those dice to fling around that he does, but he rolled a botch. It's just perhaps fortunate for him that he never got to it.
Care to tell me what it would have been?
It's actually with a thaumaturgical power that he rolled a botch on.
So that could have gone catastrophically hilarious.
What that basically ended up happening was, I had him lose a dot of, not a dot, but just a point of current willpower in addition to there was some great effects that I had decided, because whenever I rolled the dice beforehand, because I wanted to make sure this moved quickly, I was like, of course you'd fucking botch on the thaumaturgy symbol. Well, what sort of hilarious situation can I put the fiend into? uh, Unfortunately, I suppose I'll go ahead and share that after the fact. Let's see. And so the fiend does, calling upon the power of his blood reflexively, the black orbs of his eyes locked upon Jermaine. However, it seems that whatever the alien intended to do flat out failed. Hell, not only did it fail, but it failed catastrophically. At least that's the natural assumption, unless he actually intended to be sent sailing unceremoniously through the air in a wild puff of multicolored smoke, while his supple robe exploded in a shower of sparkles, streamers, and doves, which proceeded to flutter chaotically around him, while all of the human captives simultaneously let out an eerie bark of laughter at their captor's sudden misfortune. Leslie and Dimitri are left in wide-eyed shock as Sevillod collides with the wall of the dome and slumps to the ground, appearing to be physically unharmed. And I was going to ask you how Jermaine reacted.
I, as a player, would have been laughing my ass off. Jermaine would have been sort of mutely shocked at what just occurred and not sure if laughing would put him on the shit list. That would have been beautiful. Well, aside from those 3 experience points, I think that you have Jermaine's latest sheet, so
Yeah, I sure do.
now you've got an NPC to play around with. Another one.
Ooh, that's what I need. More vampires in the city.
Jermaine would be a little bit more proactive than Sevalad, presuming he got enough freedom to, though.
Right, certainly. Jermaine is going to receive some rudimentary instruction beyond that, and of course he's going to be 2 degrees of bloodbound to Sevalod, due to what's transpired. And certainly Jermaine might be a little scarred by events. Particularly, there's another courage roll that has to be involved anytime a mortal is completely covered in the blood form of a Tzimisce vampire.
Because Jesus fuck. That actually reminds me, you said an indeterminate amount of time passed, but for ghouls, the rules on overcoming blood bonds is that it takes 12 minus your willpower months to downgrade it by 1 step. So if it was more than 3, he would have been actually unbound for this.
Right. I tell you indeterminate because I want some string to play with.
Oh yeah, no, sure. I totally got that.
Right, of course. Maybe Jermaine, finds himself waking up like, sweet, I'm free, and like he checks the flask in the fridge like, wait, why is more of that missing? Damn it!
No!
I gotta wait another 3 months! This is dumb!
Fuck this!
I don't want to be a Tzimisce vampire anymore.
He flips all the tables.
Every table in his house.
No. He starts walking down the street, flipping outdoor cafe tables, walking into restaurants, walking into businesses, flipping tables.
He goes beneath Central Park. You got a table? Like, well, there is the vivisection table. Fuck it!
Yo, Dragon, where your tables at?
Just walk into the Dragon Metro Cab Company. Security guard sitting behind the table, just fuck you!
And I'm yelling it at the table, not him, and I just walk right back out again.
This is all your fucking fault, table! I didn't want to drink that blood! You made me! This is stupid.
I walk into Madison Square Gardens, all the tables get flipped.
New York Knickerbockers are playing out in the arena, and like there's announcers and shit. You just walk out there, go past event security. Fuck you, Marvel!
Fucking Potence boosting it so that I flip it all the way out to the court.
Fuck you, Patrick Ewing! Or whatever.
Stomp all the tables into the floor so they can't be unflipped.
There we go. That's it, I'm fucking done! I'm leaving the city!
Good times. Good times.
It certainly could have gone longer, but I'd sort of expected how it would go due to the presence powers, where I had to check to make sure, so it was like, so you spend a willpower point, and you still gotta make the willpower roll difficulty 8, huh? Oh.
Damn.
Unless I misread that. Even if I did, just, what the hell.
Whatevs.
I don't give a fuck. I was allowing you to spend multiple willpower points and everything. It's like, well, that accelerated fast.
I mean, technically, spending the extra willpower point basically gives me an automatic success anyway.
Yeah. Normally you're only allowed to spend the 1 willpower point, but I figured, what the fuck, we're having some cinematic fun here, I guess.
Not cinematic enough to see someone explode in rainbow smoke.
It could have happened. It would have been an interesting memory for Jermaine to have.
If Sevalot allowed him to survive the humiliation.
So, what might have ended up happening is, some reveler's memory, or as the New Age vampires call it, the forgetful mind.
Yeah, let's just remove that.
I think we're gonna redact that.
That never happened.
See, Sevalot's looking at, Leslie Cutter and Dimitri and Pavel, and they're like, well, shit, we ain't gonna enjoy this for much longer.
They're all getting that a little bit edited out. Just gonna make a jump cut onto the next part.
I figured with all the fucking dice, though, I was like, it's only, a difficulty 8 roll. Surely he can do this, right? Nope, didn't roll a single 8 or higher. He rolled a...
Yup.
Let's see, 74135135333. Yeah, 2 1s, and the highest number was a 7, and a hell of a lot of 3s. Like, god damn it, Sevalot.
Beautiful.
So, how do you feel about Jermaine now? Do you feel as if this wrapped up anything for him?
Yeah, pretty much. It pretty nicely transitioned him into becoming a possibly ally, possibly antagonist, possibly question mark for the rest of the party. I think I've briefly mentioned what Jermaine's general plans are for once he's a vampire.
Right. You certainly have. And I felt like thought this would be an interesting way with Sevalot's like, yeah, you sure did. You did what I asked, but we got a test to see how much you're really committed to this whole vampire thing.
Committed enough to say to his face that he's wrong.
That's right. The Majesty one would have been there are certainly a few powers in there that would have been deal breakers if Jermaine couldn't get out of it.
But fuck you, Sevalod. Yes, I am.
Especially the Majesty one. That's a pretty big deal. But hey, if all else failed, he would have been turned into another failed ghoul, right? Like Pavel.
Yep.
That's what happens to the failures. He points. Jermaine's like, well, fuck.
And Jermaine knew that going in.
Could have had some other fun too with Reveler's memory. You don't remember being that was another thing too. So Sevalod only actually rolled 1 success on editing your memory, so the whole process of you don't remember coming here, you'll never remember my name, you'll just remember that you've been working various contracts in New York City. What that basically would have meant is that you forgot the name of Sevalod. That's the only thing you would have forgotten, and it just would have been for that night. It's like,
fuck you, man.
It's like, so you're standing right in front of him, like, this fiend, this alien who's been alive for hundreds of years, and like,
I just blanked on your name. I think it's because it's foreign. I'm sorry.
I know who you're the child of. I know who he's the child of. I know who he's the child of, but I don't remember you.
Like, I remember you just, was it something with an S? Or a V?
That's basically what it ended up being. So that was another potential point for humor.
It's almost too bad he didn't get to crash upon the walls of Iron Will.
No. Because that's certainly what he was rolling into with the command, and he would have played around with that as well. There's certainly some other powers. The thaumaturgical power is actually one that makes you weaker to stuff like domination and presence and stuff, but that was going to be something that he saved for later because, well, I should be able to do this, right? And then he botches it.
Beautiful, beautiful botches.
Good news, everyone, that's right. Welcome to the world of botch. The grim, dark future of 1998. Where everyone botches.
Botches make everything better.
I don't think the person who's botching would normally say that. You, of course. I mean, certainly I think David's life could have been made so much easier. Because I didn't even create Sevalod until David did all of those botches there during that mini session.
Everyone's going to be so happy to hear that.
Yeah, Sevalod didn't exist until there was all those slew of botches, and David had to run for basically his unlife outside of the municipal building with the records that were practically no use. And so I was basically put in the situation where, well, someone's going to get this information. Someone who's powerful. But who? And from there, I created Sevalod Cerveni and Dmitry Patriciu, who gave the golden CD along with the laptop to Evelyn O'Malley, which was then given to the coterie.
You just know I'm going to use that to meta brag to the others at some point, saying shit like, "Hey, you know what? I created Sevalot by mistake."
Yeah, he certainly was not a vampire who existed in the city at all until that happened. And then I was like, well, and that's why I ended up giving him with a name that started with a V, because it was like Valentine, or, Carter Vanderwayden, so that the coterie would be confused as to who sent it. But the language on the top of the CD, the Tuatha Lumea, certainly wasn't anything that was written in English.
It was Romanian, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Polish or some sort of Eastern European thing. I'm pretty sure it's Romanian, but it's been, like 7 weeks since I wrote that now. Romanian's not my strong suit.
Well, I mean, isn't it like one of the few Eastern European languages that's still a Romance language?
I didn't even know it was a Romance language. I thought it was...
Yeah, it's based on Latin.
Oh, okay. Well, there you
Because
go.
Romania was originally settled by people from Rome.
Well, there you go. But that's pretty much what that was for. And so yeah, there have certainly been times over the course of the various sessions that we have where I'm like, well, I need to do something in response to that. And for David's little mini session, which he failed catastrophically,
Oh, yeah.
I created a character who had a ghoul and some informants who had information, and that was responsible for David flying into a frenzy, which got him put in torpor.
Until we finally saw that ghoul, I actually thought that the hands in that video were Kadir's.
Ah, I believe someone else mentioned that that they assumed, like, due to the leathery skin, that it would be Assamites.
See, I thought dark skin covered in scars fit Kadir's description pretty well, which is why I actually asked at some point, so, are his hands like the ones that were in that video?
I'm like, no, no. Damn it.
It could have fit.
Yeah, it could have. Would have been interesting. Nope, just turned out to be the leathery, scarred hands of a ghoul who had been alive for a very long time, and was the ghoul of a Zabitsi.
Good times.
Could have been. Maybe the next time we'll see Jermaine, he'll have like tentacles coming out of one of his shoulders. Okay.
Probably not yet. I think he's going to try and hold on to his concept of identity for a little while.
Well, that's not necessarily Jermaine doing that. That's Sevalot doing that too.
That's true. That's true.
But on the bright side, anyone who has vicissitude, regardless of whether they're a higher generation or not, can fix it themselves. So basically, it could be like Sevalot saying, "You should have done better during the testing. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna like put something on your skin. You're gonna have to learn vicissitude so you can fix it."
Yeah, Jermaine is actually going to, like, when it comes to his appearance, try to, first of all, fix all of the damage to his appearance, and then slowly but steadily kind of upgrade it, while getting a voluntary ghoul who will kind of live out the rest of his mortal life with his appearance, with his old appearance.
Right. Certainly, I figured that'd definitely be something that Jermaine would be interested in, perhaps beautifying himself. It's just, I think that's a difficulty 9 roll on your check there to roll up your appearance, and failing that or botching that can have some dangerous effects.
Difficulty 8.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, wait, no. Increasing his appearance is a difficulty of 9. But, yeah, I would do that slowly and steadily using willpower. Because, get it right.
Well, it's gonna take quite a bit of time, I think, for Jermaine to recover his willpower energies after this.
Doesn't have to take a short amount of time.
Yep. After everything that happened, and then whenever he's left with no willpower, broken and spent, that's when Sevalot turns himself into blood.
Yeah, no, that's when. Add that to the list of flashbacks.
It's like, could have been worse. Could have been acid blood.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sevalod temporarily transmuted his own Vitae just for you.
Yeah, that's a pretty big fucking deal.
Those who follow the path of metamorphosis don't just go around making concessions to everyone.
No. No, they don't.
He might have had to be making some path rolls over the course of these chapters. He's not that big of a dick, right?
He's kind of beyond concepts like being a dick and not being a dick.
Like, what is this dick that you're talking about?
I removed that ages ago.
I don't even have one of those. What the hell?
Wasted space.
That's right. I have obviated my biological needs. What the fuck are you talking about?
Genitalia?
What? Digestive system? What the fuck is that?
Worthless space, replaced with bone armor.
Seemed like a good idea at the time.
Haven't been paralyzed since.
There you go. Oh, but your heart, yeah, it can be pierced. No, I don't think so.
Solid bone rib cage. More of a rib sphere, if you will.
You know, it's like, so you actually want to try to get the wooden stake in between the... See, we have a problem here.
The in-between part.
You're gonna have to somehow pierce the stake through solid Zamitzi bone. That's not happening with a wooden stake.
It's 5 inches thick. The bone.
You're gonna
you're done here.
You're gonna need a bigger stake.
Maybe wood hardened, made out of some exotic hardwood.
Now I need to go find, like, the adamantium stake.
Fired out of an air cannon, accelerated to higher than 300 miles per hour.
What if we had Duke Wily, with his massive powers of celerity, throw the stake at Sevalon?
No. We need to make it into a stake lance and, get him a bicycle and...
A bell to ring as he's pedaling it towards Sevalon.
Ring, motherfucker.
Like, oh, and then you botch. You botch the drive check. Oh.
No, I'm just picturing Sevalod pinned to a wall in paralysis by a lance the size of by a lance the size of a telephone pole by a guy riding a bicycle. With streamers and bells.
Sevalod sort of just, like, hangs there suspended for, like, several seconds, like, well, I suppose it's a good idea that I picked up Serpentis when I did. You're like, you're kidding me!
Fuck me!
It's like, what do you mean you don't have your heart in your body anymore? This is bullshit! He put it in one of his ghoul. It's like encased by, like, solid bone and flesh.
No, he specially crafted a ghoul for this. It is just an entire, cubic mile of solid bone, for the most part.
In which Sevalod's dead heart is. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? It's like, I have been alive for so many years. Do you think Serpentis is that hard? Bullshit! Bullshit! What other superpowers do you have?
What did you think the foundation to this mansion was? Concrete?
It's made out of solid bone.
Solid living bone. Excuse me.
And below that are the bodies of snakes, and below that is more bone matter, and below that is the heart, encased within the ghoul. Whenever they were referring to the heart of New York City.
They mean it. They just don't know it yet.
So, I'm sure this gives you some interesting metagame knowledge in accordance with the Nosferatu or whatever now, doesn't it? Now that you're going to be sliding back into David Green, shit that he doesn't know.
Yep. Actually, the other players have been discussing what to and not to tell David and how to tell it to him so as not to get murdered.
Or have to send David back into torpor again.
Yeah, they're expecting it to come more in the form of murder. Like, quiet, careful, surgical in its precision.
Well, I mean, on the one hand, you have vampires are inherently selfish creatures who don't tell people the truth unless it somehow helps them, right? And on the other hand, you have like, well, he's a Nosferatu. He might find this out somehow anyway.
And he's one of the few people properly well equipped to help them and inclined to actually help them.
There's gonna be some guilt there over him losing his shit and going into a frenzy and botching his ability to control himself. So there is that angle.
Oh yeah, I feel like he's going to end up putting them through an accidental guilt trip because his first series of actions upon waking up, aside from getting fed, is going to be going up to each of them and apologizing individually in person. Because David, unlike the majority of vampires, doesn't see the beast as a separate entity. He thinks that that's a coping mechanism for people that can't accept that this is what they are now.
Right, of course, of course. So, how excited or I suppose not excited? Like, how are you viewing the shift from going from Jermaine Wallace to David Green?
Oh, I'm actually really excited. I really liked the David character.
That you only got to play for 3 chapters.
Yeah, yeah. Got to play for half as long as Jermaine.
Jermaine has definitely been in activity for longer. It certainly doesn't feel like it's been that long, but when you look back, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and when you look at it, Jermaine has actually done a lot to shape the direction the Coterie went.
Despite the fact that he couldn't necessarily do a lot to shape the direction the coterie went, right?
And yet,
Instead, there's all these subtle suggestions that Jermaine throws out there. If I were you.
and a couple of times when he's actually said the exact opposite of what he wanted them to do, and they did what he wanted them to do out of spite.
It's like, I don't think we should go down to see Sevalot, guys. I'm gonna have to
I
take
don't
some
know,
time to
that's a
think
little bit
about
dangerous.
that.
Maybe we should wait. No, we have to do it now.
Well, there you go. Going to do
Well,
it now.
okay, I guess we should all go get in my car.
Sigh. So do you think whenever you say improve the appearance of Jermaine, do you think something's in Jermaine's future quite like how Sevalod looks?
No, not yet. He's definitely not wanting to retreat from the world of mortals. He's going to want to create kind of an idealized human appearance.
You
At
don't have to
first.
retreat from the world of mortals in order to give yourself a tentacle arm, right?
I mean, eventually, maybe. But no, not yet. Because, I mentioned that, like, his plans insofar as his political and personal actions.
Right. How is he going to handle the whole concept of sect politics? I mean, certainly there is no law stating that a Tzimisce cannot join the Camarilla, and there are certainly a few Tzimisce, I suppose you would call them anti-tribu, who have actually joined the Camarilla over the world and throughout the years.
Well, for the largest part, he's going to be trying to keep his clan ambiguous unless, you know, his former employers go and tell everyone what it is.
Right.
But aside from
There's
that,
certainly that.
I feel like one of the best places he can get involved right now is actually with the Anarchs. See if Duke Wiley still wants his help with whatever.
Perhaps that might have ended up being some of what the odd jobs that Jermaine was doing while
Oh,
tracking these
sure,
vampires.
totally.
Now, do you think that these vampires he might have picked off were from Staten Island?
Not for the most part, but really what he was trying to get more than anything else, or aside from ones that were, available, he would have been trying to get ones whose disappearance wouldn't merit too much investigation or retaliation.
At least how Jermaine would have hoped, and he would have also known, like, Tremere, Toreador, Ventru is like the cornerstone block of the Camarillo Ivory Tower, so certainly they would not likely be Anarchs.
Right, and given their important political roles, he would obviously try to pick off neonates.
Someone like,
Like 90%
suddenly
of
like
the city.
Valentine vanishes.
Well, I mean,
It was
no,
a
I
good
mean,
day. It was a good day.
nameless people who don't really have any sort of real political power in the city and wouldn't really have a powerful sire out looking for them.
Right, of course. And as I said at near the beginning of this little mini session, there are plenty of opportunities for Jermaine to find those because they're everywhere. Here,
Yep.
no, you might have ended up just picking off some 14th gen, thin-blooded folks who weren't quite Caitiff. They still had the markings there, but just recently sired and somehow escaping, particularly the Tremere. Although the Tremere would have been the most powerful and hence the most dangerous. But who knows? Maybe he botched too.
I might not have handed the Tremere over with all of its limbs intact.
Yeah. And Jermaine himself might not have had everything intact as well.
That's true.
Might have been a regeneration roll that he might have succeeded at with willpower or something.
Which he would have.
To that end, you recall the situation where it's I suppose it's about a week ago now where I or some other time where I pitched the idea to you like, hey, 10 willpower? You're like, nah, it's not worth it.
It was almost worth it.
I'm like, Vicissitude will be cheaper once you're part of Clan Zamitzi. Properly.
Yeah, and now he can actually start purchasing up some disciplines with all of that pooled experience.
Right. And there might have been some other experience points he earned during his indeterminate amount of time.
Right. So after he, does the basics, setting up and establishing himself after all this, he's going to start recruiting. For ghouls.
How do you go about doing that? You put a flyer out, an ad in a newspaper, looking for.
Well, the obvious place for him to start is with people critically injured and suicidal in VA hospitals.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. And them right there, and you could always, if you really wanted to be fancy enough, you got good enough at vicissitude, like, this is what you can do. You, like, craft another leg for him, like, if he's, like, missing a leg. Bam!
Well, I mean, you remember Jermaine's backstory, right?
Yeah.
Shit like that.
It's like, oh, you're missing a body part? Well, here at Zamitzi Incorporated.
So, yeah, I mean, he's going to try to become, if not an autarch, at least someone with a lot of personal power who's not too associated with any specific political movement.
Which will be very difficult for him to manage.
Oh, totally.
In New York City, where There are so many different facets of things that are angling against each other, and the Camarilla has its own version of recruitment. It doesn't quite go as lethally, but if you're Zamitzi and you're trying to remain independent, it's kind of suspicious.
Well, he is going to try to keep his
But yeah,
clan
I know you mentioned that.
private, and he will ostensibly be a member of the Camarilla in the same way that Duke Wiley is ostensibly a member
Right.
of the Camarilla.
It's like, yes, we anarchs, the Camarilla claims everyone is technically a member of them, so
So I am as well.
there you go. No, I am not a Sabbat.
Yeah, it's not so much that he's going to try to be independent as that he's going to try to not be too involved.
Right. As many vampires end up being like, no. Doesn't seem like something I should care about.
But yeah, he might end up trying to set up on Staten Island, and his basic idea is to basically have a sort of business where he rents out ghoul mercenaries. Sound familiar?
It does, but of course, Jermaine would know that the whole independent mercenary thing is not
Oh,
very trusted.
absolutely. Which is why they would be paying him. They would be contracting this man, Jermaine Wallace, a vampire, to apply his pressures. Anyway, that's the long game, not the short game.
The short game is all right. How do I leave this? How do I leave this mission alive?
Yep.
Well, not alive. That ship already sailed.
How do I get Sevalod to choose to let me out?
Ah, interesting. Well, for his part, as it turns out, if Sevalod really wanted someone whose willpower had been crushed, and who was absolutely thoughtless and lacked creativity or imagination, or who, it's possible that, throughout all these years he's sort of bored, and he has so many other people whose will he can break and send out into the world. He might have already done that. But with Jermaine, since he's proven he has the makings of a worthy child of Sevalod Cerveni, it almost seems as if Sevalod Cerveni is willing to let that one go. And it's certainly not going to help Jermaine thrive as an appropriate child if Jermaine is servile and an idiot and lacks his imagination and creativity and is stuck perpetually in the mansion.
And it would probably not play to Sevalod's ego.
Right. I mean, certainly, Sevalod's sire could have, crushed his willpower and could have made him completely inept and foolish and stupid and not able to do his own thing, and hey, maybe Sevalod's like, whatever.
Well, but I mean, what kind of Samitsu would that make Sevalod if he decided to just destroy a child's mind like that?
There's no telling what he cares about, but it certainly seems as if he had the ability to do whatever the hell he wanted, Jermaine, and chose to do this.
Oh, sure. I mean, Jermaine knew that the minute he walked down there.
I certainly still am interested how the coterie so readily and willingly agreed to go down into Central Park.
Isn't that just fucking funny?
Not only that, you rode in Dimitri's car.
Yep.
It's no, we'll take Jermaine's car, we'll follow behind. It's no, we don't actually feel like going, you can go fuck yourself.
Nope.
It's all, yeah, sure, we'll come along. Why not? What's the worst that could happen?
And then, oh god, what have we done?
I mean, I try to keep my expectations non-existent so that I don't end up getting shell-shocked whenever the coterie makes a decision, but I certainly was surprised that the coterie went along so willingly and eagerly. what choice do we have? Like, well, I mean, there's always a choice.
Nope.
We're gonna go meet him. I think that's quite possibly the best experience of everyone's life. Certainly it was for Jermaine, right?
Yeah.
He could have been a tool
Sure.
for Byron right now, but look at him.
That's a good point.
Yeah. You know, perhaps Sevalot also feels a bit freer, because what does he have to worry about from Diablerie? Like, no, I'm good.
I don't think Jermaine would even try.
Like, oh damn, you sunk your fangs right into my neck. There's 5 dice of aggravated damage.
Well, I mean, even if it weren't for that, uh, there's the fact that it's already bad enough that he's Smitsi, and he's, already fucking 7th gen.
Then he wants to try to think of a way, like, how am I going to eat my sire?
Nah.
The sire who lives in a mansion beneath Central Park with an elevator that somehow functions and a lot of protection. I don't even know where he sleeps.
It's just not happening.
Does he even sleep? I don't know what he
That
can do.
side note, um, every time we go down there, that reminds me of a merit from the new World of Darkness version of Vampire, which allows Nosferatu, who stay at least 30 feet below ground,
You've
to
mentioned that
stay
one.
awake all day.
Yeah.
It's a cool one.
You definitely mentioned that. Well, you're definitely not Nosferatu, and see, Jermaine is going to be getting the standard bank of. I tell you what, there's rules in the Vampire Masquerade core book for rolling a ghoul, a player character ghoul, into being a vampire. It tells you like what extra dots you get and stuff like that.
You want
And
me to?
yeah, go ahead and do that. You'll still have the same amount of experience points. What Jermaine had unspent +3 from last chapter, and go ahead and use the rules for creating that. And
You got it.
you can send a final character sheet for Jermaine because he's going to be getting the discipline dots, and he's going to be getting a few other things, I think.
Well, I mean, it's just the one discipline dot, right? Since ghouls start with 2.
I think it's a discipline dot, and I also think he gets the extra dots in his like physical attributes. Because
Yeah,
you know
well,
the
he
ghoul
gets
gets
stats
like
from
6 4
various
3.
attributes.
Yeah, it should be, and then you can go ahead and spend your experience points after you do all of that.
All right, and then I'll send the final sheet to you.
Now, if something happens to David again, you and I are gonna have another talk.
I mean, that might be a good chance to kind of reveal what Jermaine's been getting into in the background while the party's been continuing on.
Well, the unfortunate thing would be if David falls back into torpor this upcoming chapter.
You say unfortunate, but
It would be unfortunate.
yeah, it would be.
So an
It'd
indeterminate
be,
amount of time that passed was a week.
it'd be pretty hilarious, but yeah, it would be unfortunate. I'm actually looking forward to playing David again.
Yeah, that's right. With his new derangement. Woo!
Yeah, actually, after apologizing to the party and getting filled in, he's going to, regardless of whether or not this is a good idea, try to get in contact with Carter Vanderweyden and see if he has any advice for getting himself under control.
Right, you had made mention of that several weeks ago.
Yeah.
Certainly, there might be an interesting dialogue where, well, what happened to you? I thought you were going to do something with Rikers Island. Things.
Yeah, I mean, I would actually explain it to him. Well, I might leave out a couple of details.
I was to say, certainly it sounds like David's really trusting Carter, after that one encounter.
It's less that he's trusting him and more that he seems like a Malkavian that has his shit under control from what little I've seen of him. Both because of how he acted in person and because of how he's able to, maintain a pretty choice domain like Rikers Island. And that seems like the sort of person that might have advice when it comes to shit like self-control and, clamping down on derangements.
Not only, the domain of Rikers Island, which some may disagree with you about being choice, but he can apparently act as a part of, like, a senior partner of a law firm. And where, while
Seriously.
he can't go into court during the daytime for obvious reasons, he can certainly contribute quite well on his own.
I mean, the other person that I'd have available to ask about that is Joseph, and he disappears for entire nights at a time.
Well, all there was chapter 2, right? He could throw back, well, you disappeared for an entire month at a time, right?
No, I didn't. You knew where I was the entire time.
You shut the fuck up! I don't have to take your shit! There goes the berserk.
So, yeah, I mean, that's definitely something that he's going to be looking into.
So what's Jermaine going to be doing with Sevalod's Vitae after he becomes a vampire?
Keeping it. For let's say a rainy day.
Oh, that might dilute the blood. If, it's raining outside.
I laughed myself shitless right there.
Well, you might have to change your pants then.
Well, I mean, it could be worse. It could be raining.
But the rain might dilute the blood, Aaron. No!
Then I guess I'd have to drink more of it.
There you go. I suppose the attitude could be like, fuck it, if he wanted me to be completely subservient to him, he could just could have fed me his entire blood form, whatever the fuck that was.
Delicious.
It's like, well, you can vanquish Sevalod and put him in final death if you can, after all the disciplines you used, if you can fit about 25-ish points of Vitae in your body.
Challenge accepted.
With no willpower.
I have fortitude. What the fuck are you talking about? I have fortitude, stamina, and I'm tough as fuck.
I'm gonna drink you, Sevalod! I'll kill you!
I'm gonna drink you, you son of a bitch!
Alright. Jermaine Wallace the Ghoul can bring Sevalod to final death. If
he could drink him all in one sitting.
That's right. And suddenly the whole, the temporary transmutation of removing the acidic effect goes away. So, you have 15 points of Vitae currently in your system. That's 5 dice of aggravated damage for each point.
Oh god, why didn't I boost stamina up to 7?
Why? This was dumb! Oh man, good times. So,
I've had worse decisions.
It could have been worse, right? Right!
It could have been raining.
I could have been standing outside with Sevalod while it was raining.
Oh god.
Now that's going to be the greatly interesting thing, right? Who knows what Sevalod can do? He just, pops up the doorstep one day. Hi. And of course, you'll notice how his weird accents went away in favor of just using, just to fuck with Jermaine's head, This haunting vocal blend, like coffee.
Yeah, no, he's done with that now. No ghouls to scare? Fuck it. That was the entire point. It was all for my benefit.
Right. You're like, why not? What the hell? It's just, and while my voice can't personally simulate, a mixture of 13 tortured screams together in some semblance of a voice, I like to think that it can be conveyed through thought. By someone with enough imagination, which I think you suffer from.
You know, that's a good way to put it. I suffer from enough imagination.
You suffer from creativity, and look where that's gotten you. Covered in the VJ of an elder vampire.
Oh, creativity. What horrible things have you wrought this time?
I mean, it's a shame though that some of those developments, like Civilod's robe exploding into a shower of sparklers and doves.
Huh, I just realized I'm going to have to use the character sheet that has more than 5 bubbles to fill in for my traits.
Yeah, you gotta move up to the big people elder sheet.
Yup.
Son of a bitch. It wouldn't have to be done. I mean, unless you plan on all those experience points, fuck Vicissitude. Everything into, like, one thing.
Dexterity 6.
Yeah, suck it down. Eat
Because
it.
it totally wouldn't be cheaper and more effective to just get celerity.
No, not at all. But, you'll certainly have, for Sevalod, he has the standard Zemitzi disciplines as his in-clan ones, so those would be yours as well. But all of the out-of-clan stuff, you'd sort of be on your own for figuring that one out. As it turns out, Jermaine has probably learned that asking Sevalod what he might think is stupid questions is a bad idea.
Yeah, he's not going to do that. Would I still have celerity available just from my time as an independent ghoul to learn if I wanted to?
We'll say sure.
Alright,
If you really wanted.
I do. It's pretty much the best combat discipline, and that's something that I was going to pick up after Vicissitude if I, could.
And that might actually be something that Sevalod doesn't have.
It's the best combat discipline.
Right? Sevalod's like, combat? What do I need combat for?
I mean, that's fair. Jermaine needs it.
It's like, whoa, stop. You're assuming we're gonna even get into combat here. You're assuming I don't have enough dice to just divide around with and be okay. You see how many ghouls I have working for me? I don't need celerity.
Well, and Jermaine is definitely going to try and get a fair few extremely competent ghouls working for him at the very least.
Right. Now, when you say extremely competent...
I mean when it comes to military activities and
Right.
with a military sense of discipline.
Right.
I want people that he doesn't necessarily have to bloodbind or bribe or anything like that because he can be a sufficiently good commander to them. Because, that's his sort of attitude approaching this sort of shit. It's inherent in his demeanor as a soldier.
He doesn't want to bloodbound his servants? Interesting.
Oh no, he's still going to. I'm saying he doesn't need to. Don't go putting words in my mouth.
I was just gonna play with that. Like, Jermaine doesn't want to bloodbind his... Well, I suppose, like... You know, if Sevalod can get away with not bloodbonding me, then I should be able to get away with not bloodbonding others, right?
No, I mean, they're going to end up bound eventually, even if they take a few months to get to that point.
Right.
Fuck no.
All of the ghouls end up having, like, the unbondable marriage. Like, what? What the fuck? I don't believe this! I already flip all the desks, too! I don't know what to flip now!
I think to get that, though, you really, I think that the fluff suggests that you usually have to have overcome that sort of shit on your own.
Yeah. But there are certainly, a few kindred out there, just as there are with practically every merit and flaw. I'm sure there's even Tremere out there who are unbondable, and no one knows.
Really? I thought that they were mutually exclusive. Could be wrong.
I don't think they are, but if, your elders ever found out, then it would be mutually exclusive.
You'd be dead. Stone cold dead.
But I'm not sure. I don't remember the details of every merit, and I don't care enough to take a look.
I'm actually already looking it up just to check.
Well, there you go.
Because I'm a curious fuck.
Right. And of course, there's the fantasy of your third character being a Tremere.
Yeah, I mean, totally. I might totally end up with a third character. Somehow. What?
Now look, everyone's hung on to their first.
So have I.
Suppose he's technically not final dev yet. We were put in an option where either the entire, the game took a break for a month, or you had the secondary character. Now think of how much fun would have passed if, Chapter 4 just picked up in February, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, and think of all the stuff that would have happened in the background that we wouldn't have gotten to be involved with.
Yep. Who knows what might have changed had the party not done anything? They'd just been like, what happened while I was asleep? Stuff. Well, now everyone knows what stuff happened.
Yeah, Tremere cannot take that merit.
Well, there you go. But the Sabbat can. Vinculum? What the fuck is Vinculum?
It's true. Yeah, that's an attractive merit to take for a ghoul. And I didn't take it.
You're too busy having flashbacks.
It's true.
Which, it didn't come up to bite you in the ass at any point. But it could have.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a point that I kept bringing up. I may have 9 willpower, but that means that once I finally fail, I'm losing 8 willpower.
It's like, you don't understand. Aaron has had plenty of dice before in the past. That's not stopped him from botching.
Yeah, the flashbacks may be less frequent for people with higher willpower, but they're way more debilitating.
And, of course, the entire time, too, Jermaine's also got to think about how vulnerable it is. He might have iron will, but that won't save him from everything. Things that affect his emotions. But there's nothing he can do about that, right?
Well, he can spend willpower.
You can go check that, too, since you have the book open. From what I read at the beginning of the blurbs and descriptions where it talked about the presence discipline, anyone who wanted to resist presence power for like a scene or whatever had to spend a willpower point as well as make a willpower roll at difficulty 8.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
Which confused me because, you get into like the specifics of like the disciplines and it also talk about like, hey, you can also spend a willpower point here too. And I'm like, you just fucking said that at the beginning, right? What the hell?
Fuck you and shut up.
That's right. Fuck you, shut up. But wait, that means that, well, what Sevalod used against Sheriff Kadir to turn him, mewling and helpless, that might have been a presence thing, which could have allowed for willpower to escape. Maybe the sheriff couldn't.
It happened.
It happened. The sheriff was gone, with a capital G, for a whole week.
Still is, as far as I'm concerned.
That's right. Who knows? So what are you thinking about that? Now that Jermaine's out of the picture and David's coming back in, so none of your characters are gonna care a whole lot. But so what are you as the player thinking about the situation in New York City?
I'm real excited. Shit's gonna get real.
Well, it's been getting real this entire time, right? I don't understand.
No, you don't understand. Shit's gonna get real.
That's why I said I don't understand, because I don't understand.
No, you don't understand.
Listen here. This isn't some sort of Abbott and Costello sketch, okay?
It is now.
Oh, alright. So how is shit gonna get real?
Well, for one thing, if the party lets slip what happened to the sheriff to David, he's going to first try to convince Marcus to go with him to try to find and tell Theo Bell. And if Marcus doesn't decide to go with it, he's going to lie, agree to drop it, and then go do it himself.
It's assuming, the coterie let slip. Hey, you remember that time where Sheriff
Oh yeah, no.
Kadira
If they let slip, I'm just saying, a lot of things might happen, aside from, uh, you know, aside from what has already happened and what is already in motion. The way the coterie handles this with David can shape a lot of what's to come.
It's like, so, good news, everyone. David's back in torpor. Aaron, I don't know what you're gonna do next week.
Yep.
Yep. It's a so it's a shame, isn't it, that Joseph didn't take upon himself the character development by committing diablerie upon David, right?
I would have laughed my ass off. Not even kidding. Like, I know that kind of tortured myself with whether or not to turn on the party, but if it had happened to me, I would have found it really interesting and hilarious. Because it totally wasn't a bad idea. It was, character development.
Right. I didn't think inherently it was a bad idea. I was just wanna, make the consequences apparent, particularly since you have sanguinary animism. You don't have some sort of other, derangement that would make this a bad idea.
I mean, if he did, it would be stupid to do it.
But it's because he has sanguinary animism that it would have made it okay for you?
No, I would have been fine with it either way, just because it would have been really interesting. Which is, by the way, one reason why Jermaine is never going to actually be tempted with diablerie, aside from the fact that he's already got a pretty sweet gig. He doesn't want there to be that mark following him around.
Who knows, though? Maybe due to the fact that Joseph thinks he eats people's souls, some other things, numerous other things, might have transferred to Joseph. Suddenly, Joseph finds that he has, some of perhaps a merit or two from David, and perhaps another flaw or two from David, in addition to the
Sure.
derangement.
The thing that I liked best in a game that I read about where a character had sanguinary animism and they committed diablerie was that they developed well, not a split personality, but a hallucinatory individual that was that person with their mental skills intact, so that they could be like talked to, advice gotten from them, but they were still there and fucking with you constantly out of revenge.
I've certainly heard of that effect before, and all sorts of things. It makes me think of the Bene Gesserit and their other memory. It's like,
I,
go ahead.
I was thinking more at A Beautiful Mind.
That's definitely possible too. Or some other effect where they try to display the whole concept of, seeing people and conversing with them, the hallucinations, which is not exactly easy to convey, but you should always certainly do that. Well, you don't get a third character, Aaron. What you do get, though, is the ability to fuck with Shaw. The entire time you can speak of as David Green in Joseph's head.
I accept.
So the
you
coterie.
had me at fuck.
That's right. So the coterie only has 3 members. It's like, so I'd have to provide some disclosing information. It's just like, every time Aaron talks, only Joseph can hear him.
He hears all of my out of character statements.
It's like, we could have him send, like, private IM messages to, to facilitate this, but no, let's just have everything. What do you mean they're gonna bomb my church? What do you mean a map was drawn? Yeah.
They drew a goddamn map!
See. And the
You
whole
don't get it!
the whole fourth wall thing is it is sort of, interesting and cutesy, but you do get the situation where, okay, what sort of debilitating game mechanics does it impose? Because they all
Oh
have to
yeah,
do
I think that the character would be completely detached from reality and would see everything with dramatic timing. Like, no, you don't get it. This will work this way because that's how it works.
I'm loading a new map right now. You don't understand what this means.
No, no, no. I can fire as many shots as I want as long as I reload off camera.
Damn it.
You know, he wouldn't just have fourth wall knowledge. He would also be completely bound by tropes, assuming that they're all true.
Right. It's like, fuck, I rolled horrible on my initiative. I got a 1 on the 1d10. What? You don't understand. Now I have to broadcast what my move is gonna be before anyone else does.
Fuck!
This is dumb! What do you mean I don't know what the fuck he's doing? I've never seen that done before? Shit!
You can read his name on his token!
That's right. Supernatural beam of light my ass! What do you mean I've never... That's another thing too, right? What?
Yup.
What the hell hit that van? Good thing David Greek never saw that, right?
Yup. Because he totally wouldn't have been documenting clues and comparing things that he's already seen in his head, and it was so hard not doing that as Jermaine.
Of course. That's a major difficulty that new, like, incoming flex of characters have with those situations. The players, rather, have, and separating all of their knowledges.
Not even just the knowledge, it's just the fact that Jermaine wasn't nearly as intelligent and meticulous of a character.
Right. And he wasn't...
So I took actions during my time playing Jermaine that I knew weren't necessarily the safe actions, and that sort of shit. Left behind things I knew were clues.
Right. You have a sort of situation where, he's also not that investigative either, and he's also not a major player in the coterie. He's an independent, mercenary ghoul. What the hell is he gonna do? Speak out of turn against a bunch of vampires? No.
Hell no. I mean, there were tons of situations where he was like, man, these guys should bite their tongues. He's not gonna bite them for them. And I think I told the party like 3 times, you should probably hire a private investigator for that.
You definitely, Jermaine said that on multiple investigations. I don't do investigations.
And he doesn't. I mean, look at his skills.
Right.
He's...
So here we are, standing outside, Dragon Metro Cab Company. We've done almost no research on this, although we did find out the name of the president, Tom Danzig. We know they have billboards, and we know they are associated with the Ouroboros somehow. Well, where do we go from here? I don't know, you should get a private investigator. Do they have any police in their pocket? I don't know. You should get a... Do we know the floor plan? I don't know.
Maybe you should get someone who knows how to, take pictures with a high-powered lens or something. Scope the place out. It's not me.
But certainly, things could have been checked to see, like, alright, how many escapes does the building have? How tall is the building? How well trafficked or well lit is the building at 1 a.m.?
Which I wanted to know, but Jermaine didn't.
It's like, how many cameras are there? What's the security look like? When do the shifts end for the security guards? When they carry about... And then certainly David has learned a lot about doing that himself after the incident that transpired. Maybe I should do more research on these buildings rather than just trust in my vampire abilities.
I just realized I need a new concept for Jermaine.
Oh, well. Yeah, he's no longer a mercenary seeking embrace.
No, he's not.
He got what he wanted, right?
He got what he was going for.
uh, Perhaps not exactly what he... Not the dream goal.
I mean, ideally, he would have been, the next antediluvian.
Sired his own clan of Wallaces.
The Wallace clan? Yeah. Are you kidding me?
The generic black name right there.
His clan would have had, potence, fortitude, and throw rock.
Throw rock, alright.
What the fuck are you laughing at?
I mean, that would have been so useful in Chapter 1, right? When you guys first thought of that.
Yep. Cool, I get more ability dots, too.
Yep. That's why I brought that up. Like, normally the ghoul gets 643, but, you get the full complement of, what the vampire does, as well as, the discipline. And you got to have that, those extra starting, background dots for being a player character ghoul.
No, it's the same number I thought. I got more, freebie points.
Oh, right. Well, shit, I can't remember
Or
everything.
something.
I've only been looking at this rule set for, like, the past maybe 11,
Yeah,
12
I
weeks
started
now.
with, I started with 21 freebie points.
Well, there you go. I thought it was 22. I must have skipped my head. Of course, what'd you have to do? Get flashbacks.
Yup.
I...
Hey, I could put a dot in computer.
There you go, like, during that indeterminate amount of time. How the fuck do computers work?
I'll probably actually put it in medicine, though, to represent the
Right.
time that Sevalad would have spent training me.
I could just see this right now, like, Jermaine trying to show Civilot how to work these things.
I don't fucking know.
It's like, as
I am as
Dimitri!
lost as he is.
That's right, I'm glad to see that despite the age difference, there's common ground between the two of them.
Should I bump his appearance on up or leave it at 1 for now?
Go ahead and leave it at 1 for now.
Okay.
So what did you, out of character as the player, think about this little miniature session that transpired?
I thought it was a nice little capstone and bringing of a character to an end, so to speak.
What
Or at
about
least a metamorphosis.
right? What about Leslie?
I'm interested in knowing what all happened there, but I don't want to just be told. I want to find out. You know what I mean?
Right. I wasn't gonna tell you that, like I would have say the silly Bosch thing, but certainly I thought it'd be an interesting moment. I thought of whenever I had devised how this final situation would go, and that's actually been a few weeks in the works, along with the second task and how that would go. It just yeah, she's going to appear and have her own little cameo, and it'll sound like that. Now, how about all those humans that you brought there? Chained into some sort of ritual sacrifice room, right?
Yeah, that's a depressing situation, isn't it? I feel like that was mostly to kind of guarantee to Sevalod that Jermaine really was that serious about it.
Oh, they'll certainly be they certainly have purposes. And Jermaine is going to notice that before he is given basically clearance to leave, as he is. It's going to take some time of adjustment to grow into the fact that he's no longer alive, that he can no longer do some of the things that he could do as a mortal, and he's certainly going to have that explained to him and shown to him, and he is going to be training partly based on that. The 15 individuals, actually, it ends up being sort of 16 now. The 13 humans, 12 of whom Jermaine brought, as well as the 3 vampires, will stop ceasing to be individuals. They are going to find themselves, Jermaine in particular, where the same room will still be used and the obelisk will be in there, but they're going to sort of be Germain will find himself walking into, like, say, the ritual room to perhaps to see what Sivlod's up to and perhaps ask him about something during his indeterminate amount of time that he's going to be staying down there. And he's going to find Sevalod looming a bit over Leslie. And these 15 or 16 individuals are going to be suddenly and very slowly and painstakingly turned into a giant oozing, bubbling, writhing, pulsating, nightmare-fuelish blob. This massive blob of flesh and bone and sinew as all of their bodies begin the slow, painstaking process of being grafted together.
Like human centipede style?
No. Sort of like how it's going to be... Uh, Germain will never have heard of this.
No,
Um,
I know what monster you're talking about.
Right, not Jermaine would have ever heard of this, but not like a human centipede style, but for the time being, it's all that they'll just be together in one massive blob. And the sounds of the screaming, and the horror, and the pain, and the agony, and the sobbing will never end.
Damn, son.
As it turns out, all these bodies being forcibly united together can cause some pain.
You know, it should have been obvious, but I guess I never really put that together before.
See, and I figured that one of you, or at least someone watching, I'm sure someone watching has had. I've had like little clues, like sneaky things. I figured one of you, as players, would have gotten a sense of what Sevalod wanted to do with all these bodies.
Oh, yeah. 4 blood per turn.
That's the main thing to take out of this. 4 blood per turn. It was all
No,
worth it.
I just filled that spot out.
You shut your mouth, Grimith. I got 4 blood points per turn I can spend now.
I mean, come on.
And certainly it would seem that all of those humans had become more than humans, as if they had been fed blood, whether it was Sevalod's blood or Leslie's blood or someone else's blood, you couldn't say so, but perhaps to begin surviving the grueling process, they were ghoulified. And you have no idea what exact purpose the vampires served, other than perhaps maybe those were just for fun.
I mean, you live long enough, you gotta find a way to entertain yourself. Right?
Right.
Am I right?
That's sort of how, what Sevalod's apparently been doing with Jermaine, or I don't know what Jermaine would end up thinking, like, I mean, he could have easily crushed my will and my spirit. He didn't have to turn me into his child, he could have just have easily killed me. And that would have been that. Or turned me into Pavel, or whatever the fuck.
Even monsters want to leave legacies behind.
Yes, legacies. Suppose that's what you could call it, but that is certainly bit what Jermaine will see, along with a lot of terminology and functioning that he won't exactly understand just yet, but that could certainly pave the way for him to begin improving medicine along with that nightly CPR course, as Cripson mentioned in the group chat.
I'm not taking that shit. I already have a dot in medicine.
Yeah, that's right.
I need to start actually getting into real medicine at this point.
Right. Well, certainly Jermaine will have good cause to put experience points into medicine should he so wish. That will be a thing, along with body crafting. That can end up being his specialty.
Yeah, after all, he can't put that specialty into dexterity anymore, since it already has a specialty in it.
Well, I believe that's actually the specialty you fill in for medicine.
Oh yeah, no, totally. But I also could have put that as a specialty for dexterity.
Ah, yes. You know, perhaps pick up some other skills as well, such as taxidermy, or piercing, or, leather working, or tattooist.
Disgusting.
I mean, don't you too want your own clothes made out of human leather?
I mean, when you put it that way, but would it still be alive?
I mean, if you were really good, perhaps you could make it still functional. It's still
I
alive.
want, I want to feel it cry when I stretch it out too much.
You want to feel it cry.
I want it to be able to sweat for me in the summer. You understand?
It's like the mask that's made out of human flesh. It emits real tears.
You know, in case I need to cry, but can't.
Sorry, when I'm a vampire. I can't exactly cry. I got your tears right here.
I replace my eyes with mortal eyes just to cry for an event.
You're like asking, so Sevalod, how have your eyes become soulless black pits? I see.
Well, it's a funny story.
He sounds like Captain Kirk. He's William Shatner, that's the new voice he takes on.
Well, he does take pauses like that sometimes.
Well, you see, Jermaine, what you need to do is find the captain. And then boldly go where no one has gone before.
But yeah, you know that one haven that Jermaine has in Harlem?
Yeah, sure, that one place with the dudes.
What?
No, and the people, and the song and dance. I'm just fucking around with you, I get it.
Uh, well, that was his childhood home growing up, and that's where he's going to set up his double, his duplicate, when he can.
Oh, okay.
He's ideally going to want a person that looks like him eventually dying of old age there. That's the goal.
Now, will the ghoul actually end up dying, or will he just...
I don't know. He'll definitely be visibly aged, and eventually he'll disappear in a situation that won't be questioned. If he serves well, he'll be kept around. If not, he'll be let go, not killed.
Let go.
Yeah, I felt the need to kind of tack on not killed, probably.
Say, Sevalod believes in corporate downsizing.
See, I was under the impression that he believed in reusing and recycling.
Well, I never said he didn't. I just said that Sevalod, doesn't understand how corporate, capitalist politics work, but you could get behind downsizing.
Yeah, the structure that Germain's eventual organization is going to follow is going to be semi-modern, mix between a corporate structure and a military structure.
There you go.
with, of course, him at the top of the chain of command.
Oh, naturally. Which actually means it's Sevalod's at the top of the chain of command.
Well, right, ostensibly.
Like, I mean, he could just be a dick. It's like, every other day he, uses his summon power and just, forces Jermaine to go back down there to the mansion. Just to say, hi, you can leave now.
He certainly could.
Just wanted to say hello. Jermaine's like, God damn it.
It turns out that Sevalod is actually just an incredibly lonely person and not an alien or anything.
He's acting out.
He just acts like that in order to get attention from people.
There we go. He's an attention whore. He's just so sad, and no one can really relate to him or understand him. That's why he's looking for his grandsire, Lombok Ruthen. It's like, he's the only one.
He's actually incredibly pleased about having a child now.
It's like, oh, my other children, they left me. But you, Jermaine.
It's because I'm socially awkward and have a speech impediment.
I know I look inhumanly beautiful, because my appearance is so goddamn high because I use flesh crafting. It's not the same.
Oh, my charisma's like 1.
Well, that'd be fucking scary, wouldn't it? Like, Jermaine opens his door, sees, this, incredibly handsome, attractive person, then, he, opens his eyelids at the soulless black piss, like, son of a bitch.
Jermaine! Wonderful new haven you found for us.
It's like, oh god, yes, of course, for us. I got tired of being under the park. It was such a bore. Practically no visitors. It's a shame, really. But today we will make a difference. Jermaine, here's an interesting question for you. Do you want me to remove your heart?
Offers on the table.
Oh, too late. Ah! I'll keep this underneath Central Park, right next to my heart, always. My child. It's like a love story with Sevalod.
He melts them together into 2 hearts. Into 1 heart, rather.
Now our fates will be forever intertwined. Better hope I don't die. Then he becomes increasingly reckless. Whoops! Oh, that was close! Nearly stepped down to the sun, my bad.
I was only out in the sun for most of what it would have taken to kill me.
That's right. You have to imagine he has a fortitude of 7 or whatever, so, his entire body looking like, yeah, it was a clear, beautiful day outside. What?
I decided to go for a walk in Central Park. Erased all the memories that needed erasing.
Yeah, it was... Certainly a lot of people thought it was interesting to see this sizzling, bubbling, humanoid mass of flesh just walking past.
Oh, please, Jermaine. I brought an umbrella and a jacket.
That's right. I'm not uncivilized. What do you take me for, some sort of brute?
I'm just picturing him holding up his parasol.
Could do some sort of Mary Poppins shit, he gently floats to the ground.
It's an actual parrot.
Rock! Sevalod wind to the sun! Rock!
Good times.
I love how we're managing to find ways to humanize and connect with this monster right here.
No, he's totally not a monster. This isn't me just, trying to find any way to be okay with what I did.
That's right. He's just misunderstood. That's why he's acting out. I mean, that face on the portrait I gave him could be looking like it's sulking and pouty, right?
I mean, he put the sheriff back together.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy, right?
Yeah, I mean, all those kidnap victims, they were just disappointed that they didn't get to be his child. That's why they were crying.
Yes, and now they've been turned into whatever the hell that is.
They sure have.
I'm glad that came as a surprise then somehow. That's good.
Nah, it wasn't that much of a surprise. I figured that if he was collecting people in mass, it was going to be, you know, for some sort of large-scale flesh-working project.
Man, I hope that doesn't come back to bite New York City in the ass or anything.
I hope it does.
Why?
Are you kidding? Is this like the first time we've spoken?
Let's see. That would be awesome. Shit gonna be good.
Yeah.
So, what you're telling me is that this is like Ghostbusters, where the big puffy man or whatever the fuck his name is just goes stomping around New York City.
But without survivors.
Yeah, the Marshmallow Man. Yeah, there you go. Hmm. Ah. I hope the Masquerade's fit for this.
I hope not.
Civilon might be interpreted as more of a threat if it happened.
Damage is done at that point.
Good news, everyone! Vampires are real!
It would take so many Vitae to actually scrub everyone's mind that no one would survive anyway.
Well, I mean, it doesn't really reveal that vampires exist. It just reveals whatever it is that Civilon's created, right? No.
Alright, here we go. Let's see. The goals. Save up enough money or influence to bribe or convince someone into embracing him. Check.
Yep, all the money influence managed to pay off there at the end, right?
I mean, it certainly helped him get to that point, at least.
Right. But now that he's dead, does that mean that
Well,
he's no longer
the
useful?
following... The following two goals are establish himself in a position of relative power and stability, and create some kind of paramilitary or organized crime faction to further increase power, safety, and stability. I should add a third goal after that.
That's right. Think eternity. At least until, Gehenna actually strikes sometime next in-game year, right?
That's just a myth. I'm not part of the Sabbat.
I don't know, man. It might be a great way to cap it so that, good job, Byron, you're the Prince of New York, and now it no longer matters.
Good thing you weren't a Ravnos.
Yeah, those bitches got done fucked.
Left, right, and center.
There's a few of them still around, but their antediluvian kinda had bad things happen to them. All the focused power of the Tremere satellites managed to take it out.
And didn't like two of the deities who empowered the Kindred of the East get involved or something?
Something else got involved whenever the Ravnos antediluvian broke free. I don't remember what.
I think that it was like the two greater spirits that are based on the Ebon Dragon and the Scarlet Empress from Exalted.
I know that something was fighting those creatures and actually ended up sabotaging the Tremere satellites' efforts by creating this whole fog of smoke and darkness over the battlefield or something. But the problem with White Wolf, and they fucking get away in terms of continuity shit, is that all of this knowledge is revealed, from one character's, speaking while in character as part of the whole role playing experience. So we don't know what's real and what's not.
Yeah, here we go. It was the Evan Dragon and the Scarlet Phoenix.
Okay. And by problem, I mean it's absolutely gorgeous.
Oh yeah, everything is subjective, nothing is true.
What are we playing? Vampire the Masquerade or Paranoia?
I don't think you have the clearance for me to answer that question.
Probably not, no. There you go. Who really needs Call of Cthulhu's sanity points? I mean, if Jermaine had to roll for sanity.
Uh, hmm. Honestly, my favorite sanity system that's ever appeared in any RPG ever would have to be the stress track system from Unknown Armies.
Oh, okay. I don't know
That
that one.
shit was golden.
No, you don't think that Jermaine's gonna have any sort of, nightmare fuel in his flashbacks or anything, do you?
Oh, you mean because of the shit that he did, saw, and was involved in?
Well, there's that and, this one night of of Sevalod just pitching out a varying amount of powers and then covering him with blood.
What kind of bitch would be bothered by that?
I don't see what the problem would be. While Jermaine was held helpless, and he had spent all of his willpower, so he was lethargic.
I wonder how many Tzimisce need dirt shipped from the island of Manhattan.
Well, it's a place that's important to you, so people have pointed this out. I know during the stream chat, it's like, hey, it's cool. Just take away the grave dirt that was important to him. Just fucking imagine, what if the grave dirt that's important to him was all imported from Eastern Europe and it's currently down there right now?
Yeah, exactly. That's actually the reason I figured he buried it.
It's like a somehow during the process he just several hundred years ago he somehow gets this premonition that New York City is going to be a big happening place in the future, and so he just seeds the ground with Tzimisce soil, particularly below there as he's carving out his mansion.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, honestly.
Now we have to
I
find
mean,
where Sevalod sleeps, and Dimitri just gesticulates the entire underground area.
well, I mean, with how deep down we were below bedrock, weren't we?
It's difficult to say just how far down you traveled, but when a mansion is kind of located below ground like that,
Yeah, so all of the dirt in that cavern was probably shipped in from at least the surface.
right? Certainly, so it's difficult to see. It's so far that it goes off into darkness. It extends to, so you can't see the walls of this giant artificial cavern. But definitely, if there's a if there's a spiraling staircase that goes down, then there's an elevator ride that takes several minutes. It's fair to say that he's located deeper than any sewer or subway system thus far.
So, yeah, probably all of that dirt. All of it.
It's like, so what we actually have to do, guys, is get rid of all the dirt. Well, how do we do that?
Fire.
That's right.
We
Okay.
need a lava source block.
That's right. You guys have mentioned all sorts of interesting things about how to deal with that, and of course, I've always pitched out other ideas. Like, it's all the possibility. Like, yeah, that could be the only entrance into his lair, but it might not matter if he can travel through the earth anyway, right?
Which I kind of expect that he can.
I mean, surely it's not like, he has some sort of crazy protein power that allows him to earth meld and perhaps even move through it, like Lombok Ruthen can, right? No!
Like, seriously, thematically speaking, I see Protean as being extremely closely tied to Vicissitude. Because, they kind of are.
Yeah, it's just interesting how the Zamitzi end up with animalism as one of the primary disciplines, considering how they see inhabiting the minds of animals as beneath them and what have you.
Fun fact, a lot of those animalism abilities work on mortals.
Yeah. So I don't think the book actually ends up saying any of that in regards to it just says like animal stuff. But what he can ends up using on humans is like the dominate stuff. But there is an animalism power which you'll sort of hear about, at least to Jermaine's character. It's actually what allows him to ride on the mind of a ghoul. It's one of his elder powers that I actually took from the Zamitzi core book, Eye of the Zlatcha.
Nice.
And rather than
Okay,
just like him dominating, he's just sort of, I'm just gonna sit here. What's that?
I just took Perception 4, and I'm trying to think of a good specialty for it, which wouldn't overlap with my new alertness specialty of danger.
Danger.
Yeah, he tens count twice when the thing that he would be noticing with alertness is something that is, you know, goddamn dangerous.
What are the suggested specialties that are in the book for, say, alertness and for perception?
That's a good idea. I should check that.
I'm not sure whether it sounds cheesy or corny or actually, legit to say, I specialize in danger.
Well, I mean, it's definitely cheesy, but for him, it's more that he kind of has his eyes constantly peeled for anything that could be dangerous to him or others, just because of his particular life that he's led.
Speaking of others, how does Jermaine feel about the coterie moving forward?
Well, I mean, he is definitely going to be willing to work with them in the future if they're interested in that, possibly even, offering his services. But as long as they don't try to stab him in the back or anything, he doesn't have a problem with them. He actually, I mean, this certainly wasn't one of his smoothest contracts, but it
Right.
was definitely his most profitable one.
On the flip side, they're the only three who'd have the best guess as to who his sire is.
That's true. But if he wanted to get rid of them, he would have done it when he would have handed them all in.
Right, but there's a difference between, like, it's possible that evil people have that regret, like, a moment of, sort of like a soft moment, like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. God damn it. It's like,
Nah. He's more going to keep an eye on them and definitely keep a hold of. Well, I mean, like for example, he's got potence and celerity. He'll try to discredit them if they start trying to spread that around and be like, "No, I'm a Bruja." Clearly,
but then someone on the flip side would say, well, you worked as an independent ghoul for quite some time. It's only natural that you'd have one of the physical disciplines of Cain.
I didn't pick up celerity until after I was embraced. Sorry.
You can't trust vampires. So yeah, there's that. That's the only three kindred in existence who know of Jermaine's sire, who know his generation. Certainly,
Yeah,
they might be looking for a situation where they were looking for you to get embraced so they could get a snack, right?
he'll be keeping a close eye on them at any rate.
That's right. That's something that Sevalod will impress upon the young mind of Jermaine is that there's a few people whose fangs are very much interested in stealing powerful vitae of Cain, and Jermaine has made himself a target.
And he'll try to dissuade that, I suppose, as well as keeping his generation and clan kind of up in the air and doing his best to discredit or silence the coterie if they start trying to spread it around. Because if they start working against him, he will kill them all. Just, there's no question there.
He will try to.
He is a patient and resourceful man.
Well, that's cool. He has eternity. So do the other vampires.
Except their most powerful member at the moment is one who's extremely impatient.
There is that. Well, that might make him the most dangerous if he feels like he's backed up into a corner.
If if Jermaine rather backs them into a corner, it's gonna be a corner with a landmine, so to speak.
Good news, everyone! Lots of stamina and fortitude.
Which, Jermaine has in spades.
Well, you're not the one who's dealing with the landmine. They are, right?
A landmine of type.
Now all David needs to do.
Real enough. Go ahead.
Now all David needs to do is diablerize Jermaine, and we'll be good to go, right?
Yes.
This was all a grand layup so that David could become 7th gen.
Your face when this was all my meta plan.
Huh. Interesting. That certainly was a thing that transpired.
I actually considered it.
Whoops, Jermaine somehow becomes incredibly stupid and falls right into the fangs of David. Well, damn.
Whoops.
I can't believe someone put that banana peel right there.
He fell down the stairs and broke his neck somehow. Ignore the boot print.
Interesting. It's like, so, while David was still in torpor, Jermaine somehow knocked himself unconscious and put his neck right next to David's mouth.
He woke up and it was all gone. I don't know what happened to it. I was in torpor, clearly.
Huh.
I totally didn't leave torpor 1 week in, and I've just been operating in the shadows this entire time, letting you guys all think that, that wasn't happening. Shoot.
Well, fuck a duck. I ate someone's soul. Son of a bitch. I didn't mean to. It's right there. I was hungry. I had aggravated damage to heal.
Was I supposed to just let it go to waste?
Come on!
Guys, really?
I'd like to see you explain that to everyone.
Okay. Two of the suggestions for perception are careful and tactical. And I think I'm going to go with careful.
Alright. Those specialties, I don't exactly know how to work them either. Whenever one of you asks me, does my specialty apply? I'm just half tempted to always say, explain how it applies. I don't know.
That's actually a really valid thing to do. If a person can't explain how it should apply, then...
Yeah.
Yeah, and if they can't explain how it should apply, then of course it shouldn't.
Right. It's just the entire time I'm thinking, with a vague word careful, well, I could see situations where you couldn't explain it, but I could see many more situations where you could. Bastards.
And I took what is easily the most relevant alertness specialty for Jermaine, which is, danger. Which is basically noticing ambushes.
Not that Jermaine would be worried about those or anything, right?
Why would he?
Yeah. I'm sure Jermaine has never made a single enemy, because he never took the enemy flaw, so how could he have, right?
Right, because that totally applies to once you're actually in play. You would tell us if we got the enemy flaw, and give us background points.
Yes, of course. I would totally tell you if you earned the enmity of, like, Clan Tremere, the entirety of it.
Totally.
Because I can tell you for one thing, Sevalod certainly has the entire collective hatred of Clan Tremere.
I'd imagine so.
Who knew? It's probably not all the dots he has in thaumaturgical counter magic. Nah, that's not it.
That'd just be silly.
It certainly could be an avenue that none of the player characters pursue. Like, well, why don't we ask that every single Tremere knows about him? Yeah, he's right down there. That motherfucker.
They're all aware of it. They all down there. They all know everything.
It's like, yeah, that independent ghoul who used to work with you, we know.
They're asked why they haven't anything about it yet, and they're like, we're waiting for the magma.
Someone's got a bucket out right now, and he's looking for the source block as we speak.
Yeah. We left him in Hawaii last we checked. One of these days.
It gets poured down there, it naturally parts around the mansion. Son of a bitch!
Well, back to the drawing board. Again.
It's like he designed the artificial cavern like some sort of slope and curvature so that it would part around the mansion. It's like he knew we'd try.
And the worst part is, this is the 8th time something like this has happened.
The last 7 times we've tried to kill him, there's just been a curious string of coincidences.
The detonation caps wouldn't go off. The party that we sent down there to assassinate him while he slept just got lost. Nothing.
It's like, which underground elevator are you referring to? The Tremere Elder's like, what? There's only one. No, sir. No, there's more than one. There's like an entire hallway constructed through chemistry. Just like elevator.
We walked straight down the hallway and came out the door we entered. We didn't turn. The hallway didn't curve. We walked in, and 15 minutes later, we walked out.
I thought you said he was Zamitzi, not Ravnos. What the fuck?
I don't know.
So let's see. Yeah, all the other attempts, the exploding caps, they wouldn't go off. The party got lost. What else?
Oh, I don't know. We tried to stake him, but the stakes all melted.
It's like, no, that would be the situation. It turns out he doesn't have a heart.
And even if he did, the acid ate all the stakes.
It's like, as it turns out, you know, almost all vampires can't resist these things, like push them out because their bodies get paralyzed, except for the gangrel. But as it turns out, his acid ate the steak. Ah. Shit. It's normally a difficulty 9 roll, but it's almost as if he relocated his torso to be right in front of it. Just so he could show us.
None of us missed. None of us.
I thought I had botched, but what do you know?
There weren't even any ribs in the way. It was just like a weird, cartilaginous net.
It's like victory! But then it wasn't victory.
He talked to us sternly and we all just left. I don't even know why we left.
There was that time we somehow tricked him to go out into the sun.
He just walked around.
I mean,
said hi to people. They didn't even act surprised.
I mean, he remained in full control of himself. He
He pet a dog.
Somehow the dog didn't run away. I don't know how.
It was out in broad daylight. He walked up to a little boy and his dog, pet the dog, handed the boy some candy, and walked back inside.
Fucking Eastern European candy, too.
Like the weird shit that isn't FDA approved.
It's sold in the little, the little neighborhood corner stores.
It's delicious.
Fucking bastard has enough animal kin to not scare the dog away while he's burning. How many health levels does Civilata have anyway?
All of them.
That's like his main feature. He has like 14 health levels.
No, no, no. All of them. If you do too much damage to him, his health starts spilling over into other people. They're all his health levels.
It's like some sort of crazy aura he has where there's like a nearby ghouls or mortals basically serve as like health level depositories where he can like shunt off the negative dice pool.
For, varying definitions of nearby.
Right.
Yes, it covers the entire city.
So in order to kill Civilon, we'll have to kill everyone living in the city.
And if you take him out into the sunlight, well, a lot of people are going to burn to death in their homes.
That's going to be interesting.
What caused the phenomenon of spontaneous combustion?
That's going to be an interesting thing to note on the Channel 1 news.
And apparently the entire Isle of Manhattan died of spontaneous combustion. More at 7.
People in the Bronx are fucking confused.
And terrified.
And they don't want to go outside.
Eventually the entire eastern seaboard is gone.
He's actually Zamitzi itself. Yeah, it's this new power I'm working on called Disperse the share the health levels.
It's good. It's what I need.
Matches Zamitzi. There we go.
Hey, who knows what matches?
That's right.
I know.
You tried asking, in which case I was like, so that's going to be an interesting phone conversation. Hey, Match, it's calling just for one question. What clan are you?
I actually am going, or Jermaine is going to try to have Match become a quiet coterie member. Just saying. Like of his own personal coterie.
Right.
No shared domain or anything like that, but... you know.
I don't know, man. Not everyone likes to hang out with high generation, with rather low generation vampires, right? And who knows what... That's right.
But not everyone got their friend there themselves.
Right. But then again, who knows just who Match really is? He's Kane. Someone mentioned that as a joke last week, I think.
Nah, Kane's driving a taxi in L.A.
Right.
Which, by the way, in the Demon the Fallen line, is actually where Lucifer is as well.
Interesting.
Yep.
So why is Lucifer hanging out there too?
Mostly because that's just where he's living now. He kind of gave up on the whole, fighting against God thing after the terrifying and hilarious defeat that he suffered, untold eons ago. And he works like a film executive now or something. I forget exactly.
So Kane drives taxis. Lucifer's a film producer.
I'm actually looking it up right now.
God's like a drunk somewhere. Some corner. Playing skee ball in his spare time.
Yahweh is actually just straight up missing.
That tends to be the explanation for some of these supernatural type things. Like, everyone else is fighting around amongst themselves, and God or Yahweh or whatever name he ends up being known by is just not there. Like he clocked out, he left the building. What God actually did was like make this as like some sort of like science fair project. He's forgotten about it.
Yeah, here we go. He quietly remained among humans, coming to Los Angeles in the 1930s and working with the developing film and entertainment industry. And he was fighting to protect humanity from various predatory forces until his dying day.
His dying day.
Well, he eventually got destroyed in the end of the world,
Ah,
in the
okay.
time of judgment.
I see.
Yeah. The canon ending for Demon the Fallen is Lucifer and the player characters working together to unite humanity and the Fallen to defeat the Earthbound and other insane demons, who are at that point rampaging as giant monsters, like Godzilla crushing Japan style.
All made by Sevalot.
Ha! I'd laugh, but no, the demons supposedly predate Kane.
Right. It's like you show a picture of Godzilla to Sevalot, he's like, yeah, that was great work. I did a good job on that one.
But it's fictional. No.
Japanese took it real weird though. I don't quite understand their fascination with it, but there you go.
Careful application of dominate. Memories are a canvas.
By which the artist may depict things of his choosing.
Much like flesh.
Would you like to see? Oh, no, I'm good. I'm good, Sevi. Thanks for asking. I'm good.
No, really, I mean, we can hang out and talk about it or something.
That's what you really need to do to show that he's cool. You need to give Sevalot a nickname.
I don't know, it's still too early to give him the ironic nickname of Volo.
That sounds too close to YOLO for me. I couldn't think I could do that.
That was the point.
Uh,
Vsevolod only lives once.
that's right. YOLO. That's right.
Oh, what? Volo's up in the club?
That's right. Sevalod only lives once is up in the club. That's right. Sevalod's about to do something stupid, like, well, Volo.
He's popping his collar, which is actually part of his neck.
Oh, that's disturbing. Don't imagine.
The sun, the sunglasses are just transparent chitinous shells over his eyes.
Yes, it all makes sense now. Everything is a canvas.
Everything.
Uh, Look at this bone railing that decorates my staircase. Now back to me. Now back to the bone railing. Now back to me.
And of course, he's using a combination of dominate and presence. No one can even possibly resist his commands.
He's using majesty. Yes, look at it. Now back to him. Now back to the bone. What's missing?
Our necks
Diamonds.
are practically breaking from how fast we're looking back and forth.
The bone railing is now diamonds.
And it is.
And now it's 2 tickets to the thing you love. Do you like the smell of adventure? Of course you do. Civilod now markets Old Spice.
After that Wolf Dog advertising line, wouldn't be surprised.
It's like, he's like getting the offer. Well, looks at his agent. Volo.
Volo!
It also sounds too much like a car. What are you driving? Yeah, I'm driving the new 2013 Volo Express.
Yeah, it has a, Sevalod engine hooked up to a really powerful bicycle with a rickshaw on the back.
Cervini frame. Made in Eastern Europe? One of them places.
Uh,
I don't care which, because it's a great bike. There we go. Jermaine needs to make a coterie, it'll feature his sire. Yeah, it just features all the friends, Match, Leslie Cutter, and Sevalon. Great coterie.
he actually is going to try to start building a coterie, starting with Match.
Right. That does actually make me think, though, not of Sevalod, joining Jermaine's coterie, but of being in a coterie of his own, like, The Adventures of Sevalod Cerveni.
Your face when he actually has a coterie. I mean, they haven't spoken in a century, but...
And I'm the goddamn storyteller, and it still ends up being my face. Like, it's a good idea.
Oh God. Yes. And next week, Sevalod's coterie comes to town, looking for him.
Wait, what? They're gonna hold an intervention.
Nah, just looking for him, and we have to deal with the fallout of their search.
When I say looking for him, they use all sorts of interesting means to look for him.
All kinds of crazy shit.
I mean, you'd think they'd know that he was living right beneath Central Park, but oh no, they decided to have fun with this.
They decided to only find out what could ostensibly found by a similarly terrifying mortal.
Right. It's like, you have all sorts of interesting, crazy names. It's like, well, Dracula, you only live once. Dolo!
I laughed so hard at that.
It's like, god damn it!
I sent you that sheet.
Alright. Okay, so I think I'm actually gonna go ahead and, I've kept the recording for YouTube going all this time.
Are you serious?
Yeah! Our actual session was within an hour, and it's now 2 hours and 42 minutes I've been recording. Just over half of it is just us fucking around.
You're welcome, YouTube.
And there you go.